Hello, guys. A very good day to all of you around the world. Welcome to this presentation, the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer's Role. Now, my name is Coach Alexander. If you're here for the very first time, please ensure to subscribe to this channel because from now on, we'll be kickstarting the year with videos. I know most of you have been writing to me inquiring where I have been all this time. I must mention that I've been a really busy person, but now I'm happy to be back because we're going to get a lot of knowledge in terms of monitoring and evaluation in the months to come. Also, I want to make a special announcement. Very soon there'll be a 1 month training at a very affordable price, and if you'll be interested, please write to me. But there's going to be an official page where you can register for this training. It's a very affordable price. You won't get this anywhere else. So I want to encourage you to look out. Now let's talk about the M&E officer's role. Now, in simple terms, I want to mention that the monitoring and evaluation officer plays a very big role in any organization. And for those of you who are currently in charge of departments, or probably you may be a CEO or a director somewhere, you must also remember that your organization needs to track performance. So now I'm going to list down some of the key roles and responsibilities that the M&D officer should do. So number one, the M&D officer is responsible for designing an M&D system and framework. So now the system, okay, you might be asking, what is the difference between a system and framework? A system is the totality. It's the whole monitoring and evaluation mechanism. If you've seen the previous videos that I've done, this system encompasses the structure in terms of the human resource. It encompasses the budget. It encompasses the plans. It encompasses the policies. This is the system we're talking about. But the framework is something different. And if you've seen some of the videos I've done, but I'll continue refreshing your memories in case you've forgotten. The framework is simply a matrix that defines who is responsible for what in terms of data collection, analysis, and reporting. Now, the other responsibility of the M&D officer is to actually do the data collection exercise. Now, he or she doesn't need to actually be physically in the field, but that's why I've used the word management, because sometimes you don't need to actually go in the field yourself. You can hire enumerators to help you do the data collection. So you need to facilitate this process. You need to manage it if that's the case with you, and ensure that whatever you're collecting is of good quality. It's also important to note that it should be something which should feed into the database. So a database is basically where you store your data. So this could be on a computer, but I wouldn't really recommend, that's a topic for a different day, but I wouldn't really recommend having a database on somebody's personal laptop. But the whole point is that wherever you store your data or information should be centrally located in a database. Another thing that the M&D officer does is analysis and reporting. Now, what is analysis? Analysis is a process where the collected data that you have, you need to bring out the findings in a systematic manner. You see, the thing about data is in its raw form, you can't really know what it's talking about. But after you do the analysis, the information comes out, and then you're able to, you know what I'm saying, be able to draw out the information as to whether you're making progress or not in your project. Another critical point on top of the analysis is the reporting. Now, the thing about monitoring and evaluation, guys, this is something I want you to remember. The monitoring and evaluation essentially is meant to stimulate learning. So, as an M&E officer, you must be able to apply yourself fully by stimulating this learning and providing feedback to stakeholders. So, who are these stakeholders? The stakeholders are the people who are ultimately are affected by your project. Okay. But your immediate stakeholder is probably the donors. So you need to give feedback to the donors on whether the project is making progress or not, and what changes can be made to in order to improve its implementation. So you've got the donors, of course, you've got senior management who you should be able to report to. Another issue is capacity building and training. Now, guys, there's this thing about M&D trainings, which always happens in these organizations. So, M&D training is very important. Okay, capacity building is very important. But as an M&D officer, don't just come up with a training because you need to come up with a training. Before you train your staff, ensure that you've identified a gap, because a training is adds more value if it's trying to solve a problem. So let me give you an example. If you join an organization as an M&D officer, you don't go to management maybe a month later and tell them, I want to train staff, because management is going to ask you, why do you want to train this staff? You get the point. So before you embark on this training, the first thing you need to do is identify the gap. And that's why I always tell my students that before you do anything, you need to understand what the organization is about. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Before you do anything in that organization as a new M&D officer. So that's why I always say carry out what is known as an M&D systems review to identify those gaps. And then when you've identified those gaps, you table to management that I've identified these gaps. I think we need to do a training. Okay. And what are some of the gaps? It could be they are not so conversant with certain softwares. It could be they don't really know how to use the data collection tools. Another aspect to it is coordination and collaboration. The M&D officer needs to coordinate and collaborate with, especially with external partners. Now, this is in a situation where you have a big project. So your role is to ensure that there is that coordination with other external parties. Then, lastly but not the least, is the quality assurance aspect. So now the M&D has to fulfill a certain standard. What do I mean here? When you're doing your M&D, please do not just do it. Before you undertake activities, ensure that it is aligned, it's in compliance to the standards that are there. And what are these standards? It could be the data quality standards. It could be standards as outlined in your M&D policy and guidelines. All these are things you need to keep note of. Okay, guys, so this was just a short presentation. I hope you've derived some value from it. And please take note that very soon I'm going to be posting on a regular basis, but it won't be as regular as it used to be. It will be on a weekly basis. So I want you guys to get the full benefit from those presentations. And like I mentioned earlier on, we are designing a 4-week training and this training in M&E is going to help capacity build a lot of people out there. So thank you so much, and see you on the other side later.